You don't even act like a man, my dad said, pointing his fork at me. You're right, I replied. That's why I'm done paying for everyone at this table. Then I got up and left my whole family behind. I dug my fork into the mashed potatoes, chewing slowly, pretending not to hear the nonsense happening around me. My dad had been going on for the last 10 minutes, complaining that men these days weren't like they used to be, how they were fragile, soft, and pathetic. At first, I just tuned him out. Over the years, I'd figured out that letting him talk himself in circles was easier than arguing. But then he turned to face me directly, raised his fork like it was some kind of judge's mallet, and said, "And you're the worst of them. You don't even act like a man." I gave a short, sharp laugh and pushed my plate forward. "Oh, really?" I leaned back, folding my arms. "So what exactly defines a man, Dad? Please educate me." Without a pause, he answered, "A man doesn't let others take advantage of him. A man doesn't waste time. A man leads and takes control." A slow smirk spread across my face. "You're absolutely right." Then I turned to Bailey and said, "Which is why I'm not paying your rent anymore. No more covering your bills. No more buying stuff for you. It's over." The entire room froze. Bailey stared at me like I just spoken a different language. "What?" she said with a nervous laugh. "You're kidding." "Nope." I grabbed my napkin, wiped my fingers, and stood. "You've been depending on me for years. I thought I was helping. But you're not in trouble, Bailey. You're just lazy." Her mouth opened and closed like she couldn't speak. "That's not fair. I told you I'd help while you got your life together. That was 3 years ago." I looked back at Dad, who was still frozen mid-motion, fork in the air. "You wanted me to be a man, right? Well, a man doesn't get used. I'm finished." I grabbed my jacket and walked out of the room. The moment I stepped outside, the cool breeze hit me, sharp and refreshing. It felt like I had dropped a heavy load I hadn't even realized I was carrying. For the first time in years, I wasn't taking care of anyone else. No more rescuing Bailey. No more listening to Dad's speeches. No more playing the role of the family bank. I had just reached my car when my phone started buzzing in my pocket. I didn't need to check. I knew who it was. Bailey. I didn't answer. Another buzz and another. By the time I pulled out of the driveway, the phone wouldn't stop. Calls, texts, even a voicemail notification. One was from my mom, which was ironic, considering she hadn't said a word the entire dinner. Typical. She never defended me when Dad tore into me, or when Bailey took everything she could. But now that I was cutting them off, now she had something to say. I shut off my phone. Let them panic. That night, I stayed in my apartment, enjoying the silence. No family yelling. No Bailey complaining about her problems while showing off expensive bags on social media. Just quiet. It lasted 12 hours. The next morning, I woke up to 30 missed calls. 10 from Bailey, 7 from Dad, several from my mom, and 1 from an unknown number. Out of curiosity, I played Bailey's voicemail first. "You can't do this to me," she screamed. Her voice was panicked and desperate. "I have bills, rent. Don't you care what happens to me?" Then her tone shifted like she was reading from a script. "Fine, be selfish. Just remember, if I end up homeless, it's your fault." I chuckled. That was so Bailey. No thank yous. No ownership, just manipulation and guilt. Then I listened to Dad's message. "Oh, you think this is funny? Walking out on your own family? Leaving your sister behind?" He gave a disgusted laugh. "You'll be back. You always come crawling back." That one hit a nerve, not because it was true, but because he believed it. I had never once gone back begging. They depended on me, not the other way around, and they hated knowing that. I deleted all the messages and tossed my phone on the counter. Let them stress. I wasn't returning, and I sure wasn't giving them another penny. By the time evening rolled in, Bailey's meltdown had gone into full swing. She wasn't just calling anymore. She was lighting up my phone nonstop every single hour. When I wouldn't pick up, she switched to messaging. "Bailey, are you actually doing this right now?" "Bailey, you're destroying everything." "Bailey, pick up. We have to talk." When I didn't answer, her tone changed. "Bailey, oh, I get it. This is you proving a point. Real mature. Fine. But you can't just cut me off. I need time to deal with this." Time? I scoffed. She'd had 3 years to figure things out. What exactly had she done with that time? Nothing. I still refused to engage. Then the messages turned bitter. "Bailey, so you're really okay letting your sister end up on the street?" "Bailey, Mom and Dad were right about you." "You're pathetic." "Bailey, you're just angry because I actually have a life, and you're some lonely failure." There it was, the last-ditch insult. The same old play she'd used since we were kids. Tear me down. Make me feel worthless. Try to regain control, but that tactic didn't work anymore. I didn't reply. Instead, I went about my business. Ran a few errands, grabbed a drink, didn't send a single dollar, didn't say a word. By night, I thought she'd worn herself out. I was wrong. At exactly 9:45 p.m., I heard rapid, loud knocking at my door. Bailey, I sighed, setting down my cup. I knew she'd show up eventually, just not this soon. When I opened the door, there she stood, arms folded, eyes swollen, either from crying or yelling, maybe both. "You're a coward," she said, storming past me like she lived here. "You think ghosting me makes you strong?" She snapped. "You think you're a good person for walking away?" I leaned on the door frame, arms folded. "Number, I think it means I'm finally sane." She spun around. "I'm serious. What am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to pay my bills?" I shrugged. "Find work." Her mouth fell open, then closed again, like the thought had never crossed her mind. "I have a job," she shouted, but even she didn't sound sure. "Oh yeah?" I raised an eyebrow. "What is it?" She hesitated. "It's complicated." Exactly what I thought. Her fist clenched. "You're doing this to hurt me." "No," I said calmly. "I'm doing this because I finally understood something important." She glared. "And what would that be?" I smiled. "That I don't owe you a single thing." Her expression twisted with fury, and that's when she completely snapped. "What the hell is wrong with you?" she screamed, throwing her hands in the air. "You don't just ditch your family. You don't just abandon people." I stared at her, unmoved. "I just did." She looked like she might physically lash out, but instead she turned to my coffee table and shoved it hard. The drink I'd left there tipped over, spilling across the floor. She looked at me like she was begging for a reaction. I gave her nothing. "You're heartless," she hissed. "You act like you're better than everyone, but you're just a bitter little coward." "I'm finished, Bailey," I said, voice calm and clear. "Yell, cry, smash things. It won't change a thing." Her chest heaved, hands shaking. For the first time, I saw a real fear on her face. She knew. This time, it wasn't like before. This time, I wasn't backing down. No guilt trip, no screaming match, no dragging mom and dad into it would work now. She laughed once, dry and bitter, and shook her head. "You think you're so superior, don't you?" I sighed. "Bailey, I don't think about you at all." That hit her. I saw it in the way her face crumpled, the way her breath caught. She opened her mouth, probably about to start another tirade, and then my phone buzzed. I glanced at the screen. Dad. Bailey noticed it too. Her lips curled into a smirk. "There it is," she sneered. "You think you're in control. You think you can just cut me out. But you know what? You can ignore me, but he won't let this go." I exhaled slowly. She wasn't lying. Bailey was desperate. But my father? He was furious. I let the call go unanswered, but deep down, I already knew this fight wasn't over yet. A short while later, Bailey burst out, slamming the door with such force that the walls trembled. I exhaled slowly and raked my fingers through my hair. That could have turned out a lot worse. Just then, my phone vibrated again. "Dad." I let out another sigh. I could have let it ring out like I had done all day, but I knew how my father operated. He'd keep dialing, keep pressing, until he had the final say. Might as well face it now. I slid my thumb across the screen to answer. "What is it?" I asked. His voice exploded through the speaker. "That's how you greet me after pulling something like that?" I rubbed my forehead. "If you call to shout, make it quick. I've got more important things to do." That set him off. "More important than what? Letting everyone down? Turning your back on the people who raised you?" I didn't respond. I let him blow off steam. "After everything we've done for you," he said harshly, like I owed him everything. "Bailey told me what went down. Said you left her with nothing. What kind of brother does that?" I chuckled lightly. "Maybe the kind of guy who's been covering her rent for 3 years, while she blows her money on shopping sprees and nights out, instead of finding a real job. That's irrelevant." "Sounds exactly relevant," I replied calmly. He inhaled sharply. "You don't get to decide what matters. We're blood. We're supposed to support one another." Ah, the classic guilt tact. But I wasn't falling into that trap anymore. "No, Dad," I said in a steady voice. "I supported you. I helped Bailey. And what did I get back? You mocked me, tore me down, called me weak. Oh, don't turn this into a pity party." "I'm not," I interrupted. "I'm just finally doing what you always said a man should. Standing up for myself." Silence. For once, he didn't have a reply, so I kept going. "You always told me to be stronger." "Well, I am, but it's not for you. Not for her. Just for me." His tone turned frigid. "So that's it? You're just cutting us off, walking away like we're nothing?" I smiled faintly. "I'm walking away from being used." Another long pause, then he growled, voice low. "You'll regret this." And the call ended. I stared at my phone, releasing a breath. I knew him too well. This wasn't finished. Not even close. For the first time in a long while, my phone was dead quiet. No text, no calls, nothing. I should have felt peace. Wasn't this what I had been wanting? No more chaos, no more manipulation, No more being dragged into their problems. But I wasn't fooled. This wasn't them giving up. This was the stillness before their next move. Bailey wasn't one to walk away without a fight. And Dad? He thrived on control. If they weren't reaching out now, it only meant they were scheming. Still, I didn't care. I wasn't going back. I chose peace. I started living normally. I went to work, and for the first time in ages, spent my earnings on myself. I bought food from my own kitchen. I paid my bills without bailing someone else out. I even hung out with friends and didn't feel guilty spending money. The best part? I didn't feel burdened anymore. I wasn't responsible for anyone else's messes. For once, I wasn't dragging my family's bad choices behind me. But then, right 7 days after that disaster dinner, Bailey reappeared. This time she wasn't alone. 1 week. That's how long it took before Bailey cracked. I had just gotten home from work and was enjoying the quiet when, bam, 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 someone began pounding on my front door. Not knocking, pounding. I already knew who it was. I sighed, walked over, and opened it. There stood Bailey, face red, eyes wild, looking exhausted. Her hair was a wreck. Her eyes had dark circles under them, and I was pretty sure she was wearing the same clothes as yesterday. But what really caught my attention? She wasn't by herself. Mom was standing right behind her. I nearly laughed. Of course. When Bailey couldn't win alone, she called in reinforcement. Let me guess, I said, leaning on the doorframe. You're here to beg for forgiveness? Bailey shoved past me and stormed inside. Oh, give me a break, she snapped. I don't have time for your little, I'm so strong now routine. I need cash. I blinked. That's supposed to move me? Mom stepped forward, her tone gentler. Honey, she's really struggling. I looked Bailey in the eye, arms folded. You've been struggling for years. What's so urgent this time? Bailey narrowed her eyes. My landlord gave me an eviction notice. I've got 1 week to pay rent or I'm out. I simply lifted my shoulders. Sounds like your issue, not mine. Her expression tightened. You're seriously going to stand by and let your own sister end up without a roof? And there it was, the classic guilt tactic. I let out a slow breath. Bailey, I already said, I'm finished. You saw this coming a long time ago. I've warned you over and over to find work, to stop wasting money, to build something real for yourself, but you didn't listen. So no, I'm not stepping in this time. Bailey turned toward Mom like she expected backup. And of course, Mom was ready. She gently touched my arm. Sweetheart, I understand you're hurt, but I cut in. No, you don't. If you did, you wouldn't be here trying to shift the blame onto me. Bailey scoffed. You've got the money. You could fix all this in seconds. I let out a laugh. Exactly. And that's why I won't. Her eyes widened as if she couldn't process that I actually meant it. You're disgusting, she mumbled. No, I said with steady calm. I finally realized that rescuing you is just enabling you. Bailey's face contorted with rage. You're a selfish, bitter, pathetic excuse for a... That's enough, Mom said firmly, her voice slicing through the air like a blade. Bailey froze mid-sentence and blinked, startled. And for the first time I could remember, Mom wasn't looking at me with disappointment. She was looking at Bailey. Bailey, she said softly, rubbing her forehead. He's not the one who caused this. You did. Bailey's mouth opened, but no words came out. Mom, you can't be serious. But Mom interrupted again. I can't make him give you anything. And honestly, I think he's right. Bailey went completely still. So did I. I had never once seen Mom take my side. Bailey looked at her like she'd just been slapped in the face. You're choosing him over me? I'm saying, Mom replied, maybe it's time you figure things out for yourself. Bailey's expression crumbled. Then without another word, she turned and left. Mom remained for a moment, visibly worn down. I came because I thought maybe you'd be willing to help, she said quietly. But I get it now. I won't ask again. I nodded, something shifting deep inside me. For the first time, I saw it. The instant Mom realized I had been right all along. And to me, that moment was more valuable than anything money could buy. Bailey was gone, at last. Mom left a little later, quieter than I'd ever seen her. No speech, no blaming, just tired silence. She looked shaken. Maybe she had finally seen what I'd known for years, but I wasn't foolish enough to think they were finished, and I was right. The next morning, my phone rang. Dad, I let it go. Then it rang again, and again. By the fourth call, I groaned and answered. I didn't even get the phone fully to my ear before his voice erupted. You cold-hearted little jerk. I held the phone away from my face. Nice talking to you too, Dad. Cut the crap, he snapped. I just got off the phone with your mother. Do you even realize what you've done? Yep, I said. I finally drew a line. He scoffed. You left your own sister to get thrown out like some stray mutt. What kind of man does that? I nearly laughed. Oh, so now being a man matters to you? That's cute. Because a real man doesn't let people walk all over him. Watch your mouth, he growled. I raised you. No, I said flatly. You controlled me. You made me feel small. You used me. That's not love. That's manipulation. He went quiet for a moment, probably stunned by how fast I threw it back. But true to form, he doubled down. This isn't just about Bailey, he snarled. This is about family. And you're acting like a spoiled brat. Entitled, I laughed. Coming from the guy who expected his son to fund everyone's lives while taking insults in return? That's hilarious. You don't get it, he barked. Family supports each other. Oh, really? I replied. So where were you when I needed support? Right. Never happened. All you ever did was take. I could hear his breathing pick up. He was fuming. Fine, he snapped. You want to act like this? Then you're out. I raised an eyebrow. Out of what? You're not part of this family anymore, he hissed. Don't come crawling back. Don't ask for anything. As far as we're concerned, you're on your own. I let the silence linger, then spoke. Dad, not once in my life have I ever asked you for help. He didn't reply. That was the moment it sank in. Not for me, but for him. He wasn't losing anything. I was the one walking away, but he was the one losing control. Well, I suppose that's it, I said casually, even though he couldn't see me shrug. Goodbye, Dad. And for the first time ever, I ended the conversation myself. I looked at the screen, then hit block. Just like that, the cord was cut. No more phone calls, no more manipulation, no more being treated like a credit card with legs while they mocked me behind my back. And the strangest thing, I didn't feel guilty. No sadness, no doubt, just stillness, relief. The following few days felt unnaturally silent. No text from Bailey, no calls from Mom, not even a passive-aggressive voicemail from Dad. It felt unreal, almost dreamlike. But I knew better. I knew them. This calm wouldn't last. And sure enough, it didn't take long. About a week before the panic began. The messages started with Mom. Mom, I know things got tense, but don't shut us out. Mom, we're still your family. Mom, can we just talk? I ignored every one of them. Then Bailey jumped in. Bailey, you've completely destroyed my life. Bailey, is this what you wanted? Bailey, at least have the guts to look me in the eye. That last one nearly made me laugh. Face what I've done? She meant, face the fact that I refused to save her again. I didn't respond to any of it. Then Dad broke. His first wave of text was exactly what I expected. Dad, you spoiled brat. Dad, think you're better than everyone now? Dad, give it a month. You'll come crawling back. I just rolled my eyes. Typical Dad. But then the messages changed. A few days later, he tried a different approach. Dad, no reason to fight like this. Dad, maybe I overreacted. Dad, let's talk. Just you and me. Now he wanted a heart-to-heart. I said nothing because I knew exactly what it was. This wasn't regret. This wasn't growth. This was fear. Fear that he no longer had control. Fear that without me funding their chaos, everything was falling apart. And I was right. Just 3 days later, Mom finally cracked and revealed what was really going on. Mom, your father borrowed money to help Bailey stay in her apartment. Mom, he thought he'd pay it back quickly, but things are bad. Mom, please, we need to talk. And there it was. Truth laid bare. They weren't reaching out because they missed me. Not because they cared, but because they were drowning. And for the first time in my entire life, I felt nothing. I read Mom's message. We're struggling badly, and I didn't flinch. In the past, that would have broken me. I would have called. I would have apologized. I would have let them guilt me into cleaning up the mess again. Not this time. I placed my phone down and continued with my day like nothing had happened. That night, another message popped up. Mom, please respond. We're still your family. Then another. Mom, we can fix this. Just don't shut us out. Don't be heartless. Heartless. I shook my head slowly. I wasn't being cruel. I was simply done. For years, I gave them everything. Time, effort, money. And what did I get in return? Disrespect, ridicule. They laughed at me, dismissed me, treated me like a doormat until they needed a bailout. And now that I finally stood up for myself, I was suddenly the villain. I thought briefly about writing something. One final message to explain myself, to bring closure. But then it hit me. What would be the point? They never listened before. They didn't care what I had to say. They only cared that their safety net was gone. So I did the only thing left to do. I blocked them. Every single one of them. Dad blocked, Mom blocked, Bailey blocked. And for the first time in what felt like forever, I wasn't bracing for the next emotional disaster. I wasn't losing sleep over someone else's overdue rent or foolish choices. I was free. As I leaned back into the quiet and stared at the calm around me, one thing was crystal clear. I didn't regret a single thing, not even a little bit.